All right. We are reading The Magic Ladder to Success by Napoleon Hill. And this one is also revised by Patricia G. Horan. And I'm going to make some opinion suggestions, whatever comes to mind, if I do. If not, no big deal. And this is pretty much the first chapter. We read the foreword, but now we are reading, the first chapter and lesson one. The first part of it is probably about 23 parts in total. Without further ado, don't read this book without reading this first. Be sure you have a pencil and paper on hand when you begin this book, and don't attempt to read it at bedtime. Be ready, as millions before you will testify, this book will cause important ideas to flash into your mind. As they've read these pages, inventors have been surprised and dazzled by their inventive ideas. Speeches have sprung to life. Business decisions have taken a bold new turn. Ingenious new businesses have suddenly appeared possible. The law of success philosophy is a mind magnet for brilliant ideas. The real value of this book is not in its own pages, but in your own reaction to what you read. The main purpose of the law of success philosophy is to stimulate the imaginative faculties of the brain so they will readily create new and usable ideas for any emergency in life. And anyone who can create great ideas, as readers of this book tend to do, will gather great power. As you read, underscore or highlight all statements that prompt new ideas to flash into your mind. This method will serve to fix such ideas in your mind permanently. You cannot assimilate the entire subject matter of this philosophy at one reading of this book. Read it many times, and at each reading, follow the habit of marking the lines that inspire new ideas. Following this procedure will reveal to you one of the greatest mysteries of the human mind. Experience has proven that it will introduce you to a source of knowledge that can only be known by those who discover it themselves. You have just received a hint about the nature of the secret of the law of success philosophy throughout the world. Many years of success with this book has proven that only the methods here described lead to the possession of this secret, no other. I'm going to read that second and last paragraph one more time, and then I'm going to give you some insight that I have. Following this procedure will reveal to you one of the great mysteries of the human mind. Experience has proven that it will introduce you to a source of knowledge that can only be known by those who discover it themselves. You have just received a hint about the nature of the secret law of success philosophy throughout the world. So a couple insights here. Ultimately, you'll always get new insights throughout this whole book. It is good to have a pen and paper. I have this marked up well because this is primarily me recording it here. I might make a suggestion, but I'm not going to be doing extra outlines. I'll write something in the notes if I need to after the recording. But most importantly, things are perceived from your own perspective. That's really it. Like, you will never fully be able to grasp someone else's perspective. This is something that I've felt to realize. But if we grasp something, if we're grasping something that someone's saying, like what it laid down here, it'll come to you only because you're discovering it yourself, right? You can, in some moments, be almost in the exact same idea or thought, right? That's when we connect in the mastermind, which is what the whole thing about Think and Grow Rich and this is about. And it talks about, it's the longest chapter, talks about, masterminds and things like this. But it really comes down to all these things because I think that's it right there. You're only going to be able to discover it for yourself. And when you have a thought, when you have an idea, you have to move forward with it. If you don't write it down or act on it and create it in that moment, it might never come back to you again. It might come back to you decades down the line or years down the line. but ultimately you need to act in it. And this is why I think the most important thing is to really create foundational sort of day, your ideal day. I call it my ideal day, your mid, right? And I teach this concept because it's based on just basic foundational principles. Like, what do you really want 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30 years down the line? Like, actually. And what's going to get you there if you do something today or this week? So I practice, different things that I do every single day, but breath work is one of the main things that has got me to create these foundations and daily activity that's going to move my business further every single day. Just what little bit of effort do I do today that compounded 10,000 times, that's about 27 to 28 years. If you do something once today and you continue it every single day, if you've done that, that's about 28 years. That's why I usually strive for what's the vision 30 years from now. But also, I was talking with an AI. I was at a lecture with an AI doctor, and he was talking about if you're thinking 5 and 10 years, you really got to start thinking 1 and 2 years because of how much advancement is going to be happening. Which is why I think you should create your ideal life in your most foundational thing, not like this much money doing that sort of stuff, doing. Really grasp the wholeness of like what sort of ideal person would you like to be? Take a look at your, top role models that you listen to now, I guarantee it's taken them 5, 10, 20, or 30, or 50, 60 years to get there. So you got to at least say, what am I going to do, for the next 100 days, for the next 300 days, for the next 10,000 days, right? Like 27 years. What's a little thing? Are you going to read? Are you going to journal? Are you going to meditate? Are you going to go for walks? Are you going to have genuine conversations? Not just, shooting the shit. Pardon my cussing? It's probably going to be one of the only times I do. So without further ado, I think you can achieve everything you want. And I think it's going to happen when you start creating your ideal day. If you want to join our community, down below I'm going to have a link where we teach it. But ultimately, it's based on your common sense to create foundational development for yourself. That's my forward, and that's the don't read this book without reading this first section, because really it's important. If something rushes to mind during this audio, you either keep thinking about it or you write it down ASAP, because I've been in those experiences where I have had that great idea and I was like, wow, what a great idea. And I'm just thinking about it and then I forget it. And then it comes back to me 3-4 years down the line, the exact idea, because it still hasn't been acted upon. I'm like, wow, no one's done that. And that was that great idea that I just forgot about. And I've been also in those places where you get that idea and you literally just jump on through. You do that thing and then you do the next thing. And then if you can't do it today, you write it down clearly what you got to do tomorrow, because sometimes you can't be up for, 24, 48, 70, whatever hours and just be knocking things out. We're human. It's a good idea to get rest every day. I've heard concepts about the 8 and 8 hours. I've heard concepts about, just the magical activity factor you have, and you can get by in 6 hours, especially if you're highly focused and you're really striving towards what you want to do. So if it comes to mind, write it down. Pause this. Write it down. Get the physical copy of this book as well. It might not be the same exact thing, but really the main point here is this is going to create ideas in your mind that are going to help you develop patterns, because it might not be exactly what it's saying here that you're going to receive. You're going to be receiving the vibration of it, right? Which is going to parallel to the frequency that you're striving towards. There's an idea you're thinking about and you're just trying to come up with the one next step you got to do, or, the third step, and then you got to develop that. And you can do it. And you're going to do it if you just keep acting. And when you act, that next idea comes quicker, and the next idea comes quicker. And then I've been in situations where people just hand me money like I don't even know why these people, we have barely any connection. And they're like, something tells me I got to give you money. Like, I've been in that connection. And I've also been in the connections where I've literally created something fully, like, in a day's time. So you can do this. Keep on, listening to this book, reading this book, and I appreciate you. Next part. These are important here, and now we're just going to go with the book, and it's going to be about 6 pages or so, and we're going to do this in segments of 6 to 9 pages, and here it is, the 17 principles of the law of success. When you can acquire whatever you want without violating the rights of others, you possess power, the only genuine power. That's it right there, right? This basic course presents the simple principles through which such power has been attained by those who have become successful, even astonishingly so. These principles are not only invaluable in business, but will be financially productive in solving one's economic problems no matter what the calling or field. The factors through which power may be acquired and used in harmony with the above definition are 17 in number. 1. The mastermind. 2. The importance of having a definite aim. 3. Self-confidence. 4. The habit of saving. 5. Initiative and leadership. 6. Imagination. 7. Enthusiasm. 8. Self-control. 9. Doing more than paid for. 10. A pleasing personality. 11. Accurate thinking. 12. Concentration. 13. Cooperation. 14. Profiting by failure. 15. Tolerance. 16. Using the golden rule to win cooperation. 17. The prosperous habit of health. Let us begin with a complete analysis of each of these 17 proven success principles. First one's the longest chunk. It's going to be broken down into several. Lesson 1, the mastermind. The mastermind principle may be defined as a composite mind consisting of 2 or more individual minds working in perfect harmony with a definite aim in view. Keep in mind, the definition of success, the result of the application of power, and you will more quickly grasp the meaning of the term. Mastermind. Repeat that sentence one more time. Keep in mind the definition of success, the result of the application of power, and you will more quickly grasp the meaning of the term mastermind. It will be immediately obvious that a group of 2 or more minds working in harmony are perfectly coordinated, will create power in abundance. I'm going to repeat that one because I missed the word inaccurately. It will be immediately obvious that a group of 2 or more minds working in harmony and perfectly coordinated will create power in abundance. All success is achieved through the application of power. The starting point, however, may be described as a burning desire for the achievement of some specific, definite objective. Just as the oak tree, in the embryo, sleeps within the acorn, success begins in the form of an intense desire. Out of strong desires grow the motivating forces that cause the ambitious to cherish hopes, build plans, develop courage, and stimulate their minds to a highly intensified degree of action in pursuit of some definite plan or purpose. Desire, don't wish. Desire, then, is the starting point of all human achievement. At the heart of desire lie certain stimuli through which the desire is fanned into a hot flame of action. These stimuli are known and will be listed later as a part of the law of success philosophy described in this book. It has been said, and not without reason, that one may have anything one wants within reasonable limitations, providing one wants it badly enough. Anyone who is capable of stimulating his or her mind to an intense state of desire is also capable of more than average achievement in the pursuit of that desire. It must be remembered that wishing for a thing is not the same as desiring it. A wish is merely a passive form of desire. Only out of intense desire will impelling forces of action grow, driving one to build plans and put those plans to work. Most people never advance beyond the wishing stage. The power motivators. One or more of the following 8 basic motivating forces, the stimuli mentioned above, is the starting point of all human achievement worth noting. One or more of the following 8 basic motivating forces, the stimuli mentioned above, is the starting point of all human achievement worth noting. 1. The urge towards self-preservation. 2. The desire of sexual contact. 3. The desire for financial gain. 4. The desire for life after death. 5. The desire for fame to possess power. 6. Urge to love. Separate and distinct from the desire for sex. 7. The desire for revenge, a characteristic of undeveloped minds. 8. The desire to indulge in egotism. People make use of great power only when urged by one or more of these 8 basic motives. The imaginative forces of the human mind become active only when spurred on by the stimulation of well-defined motive. Master salespeople have discovered this. Without this discovery, no one could become a master at sales. What is salesmanship? It is the presentation of an idea, plan, or suggestion that gives the prospective purchaser a strong motive for making a purchase. The able salesperson never asks a purchaser to buy without presenting a well-defined motive as to why the purchase should be made. Knowledge of merchandise or service offered of itself is not sufficient to ensure sales success. The offering must be accompanied by a thorough description of the motive meant to prompt the purchaser to buy. The most effective sales plan is one that appeals to the prospective purchaser through the greatest number of the 8 basic motivating forces listed above. The best plan is one that crystallizes these motives into a burning desire for the object offered for sale. The best plan is one that crystallizes these motives into burning desire for the object offered for sale. The 8 basic motives serve not only as the basis of appeal to other minds, where cooperative action from other people is sought, but they serve also as the starting point of action in one's own mind. People of ordinary ability become superhuman when aroused by some outward or inner stimulant that provokes one or more of the 8 basic motives for action. Bring someone face to face with the possibility of death in a sudden emergency, and he or she will develop physical strength and imaginative strategy that would be impossible under ordinary circumstances. With the natural desire for sexual contact driving them, people will plan, imagine, and indulge in 1,000 different amazing things, none of which they'd be able to come up with otherwise. The desire for financial gain will also lift those of mediocre ability into positions of great power. This desire also causes them to plan, imagine, and act in extraordinary ways. The desire for fame and for personal power over others is clearly the chief motivating force in the lives of leaders in every walk of life. The animalistic desire for revenge often drives people to develop the most intricate and ingenious plans for carrying out their objective. Love for the opposite sex, and sometimes for the same sex, serves as a mind stimulant leading to almost unbelievable heights of achievement. The desire for life after death is such a strong motivating force that it not only drives people to both constructive and destructive extremes, it also develops highly effective leadership ability, evidence of which may be found in the life work of practically all the founders of religions. If you would achieve great success, then plant in your mind a strong motive. Millions of people struggle all the days of their lives with no stronger motive than that of millions of people struggle all the days of their lives with no stronger motive than that of being able to acquire the necessities of life, such as food, shelter, and clothing. Now and then, some will step out of the ranks of this great army and demand more than a mere living. He or she will be motivated with the strong desire for fortune, and presto, as if by the hand of magic, his or her financial status changes and actions begins to turn into cash. Power and success are different words for the same thing. Success is not attained through honesty alone, as some would have us believe. Homeless shelters are filled with people who were perhaps honest enough. They failed to accumulate money because they lacked the knowledge of how to acquire and use power. The mastermind principle described in this lesson is the medium through which all personal power is applied. For this reason, every known mind stimulant and every basic motive inspiring action in all human endeavor has been mentioned in this chapter. The two faces of power. We will examine two forms of power in this lesson. One is mental power, and it is acquired through the process of thought. It is expressed through definite plans of action, and is the result of organized knowledge. The ability to think, plan, and act in a well-organized way is the starting point of all mental power. The other form of power is physical. It is expressed through natural laws in the form of electricity, gravity, steam pressure, and so on. In this lesson, we will analyze both mental and physical power and explain the relationship between the two. Knowledge alone is not power. Great personal power is acquired only through the harmonious cooperation of a number of people who concentrate their efforts upon some definite plan. The nature of physical power. The state of advancement known as civilization is the measure of the knowledge the human race has accumulated. Among the useful knowledge organized and available, humans have discovered and cataloged the 80 plus physical elements that are building blocks for all material forms in the universe. By study, analysis, and accurate measurements, science has discovered the bigness of the material side of the universe as represented by planets, suns, and stars, some of which are known to be over 1 million times as large as the little Earth on which we live. On the other hand, the littleness of the physical forms that constitute the universe has been discovered by reducing the roughly 100 physical elements to molecules, to atoms, to electron, and way beyond. An electron cannot be seen. It is but a center of force consisting of a positive or a negative. Molecules, atoms, electrons, and beyond. To understand the process through which knowledge is gathered, organized, and classified, it seems essential for the student to begin with the smallest and simplest particles of physical matter. These are the ABCs with which nature has constructed the entire physical portion of the universe. The molecule consists of atoms, which are said to be invisible particles of matter revolving continuously with the speed of lightning, on exactly the same principles with which the Earth revolves on its axis, gravity, and electromagnetism. These little particles of matter, the atoms, which revolve in one continuous circuit in the molecule, are said to be made up of electrons, protons, and neutrons. As already stated, the electron is nothing but two forms of force. The electron is uniform, of but one class, size, and nature. Thus, in a grain of sand or a drop of water is duplicated the entire principle upon which the whole universe operates. How stupendous! You may gather some slight idea of the magnitude of it all the next time you eat a meal by remembering that every article of food you eat, the plate on which you eat it, the tableware, and the table itself are in final analysis but a collection of invisible particles. In the world of physical matter, whether one is looking at the largest star that floats through the heavens or the smallest grain of sand to be found on earth, the object under observation is but an organized collection of molecules, atoms, electrons, and smaller particles revolving at inconceivable speed. Every particle of physical matter is in a continuous state of highly agitated motion. Nothing is ever still, although nearly all physical matter may appear to the physical eye to be motionless. There is no solid physical matter. The hardest piece of steel is but an organized mass of revolving molecules. Moreover, the electrons in a piece of steel are of the same nature as the electrons in gold, silver, brass, or pewter, but move at different rates of speed. The 100 forms of physical matter appear to be different from one another, and they are different because they are made up of different combinations of atoms. Electrons in these atoms are always the same and carry a specific negative charge, but their combination with positively charged protons and neutrally charged neutrons makes for different forms of matter. Through the science of chemistry, matter may be broken up into atoms that are, within themselves, unchangeable. To illustrate the modus operandi of chemistry through which changes take place in terms of modern science. Add 4 electrons, 2 positive and 2 negative, to the hydrogen atom, and you have the element lithium. Knock out of the lithium atom, composed of 3 positive and 3 negative electrons, 1 positive and 1 negative electron, and you have 1 atom of helium, composed of 2 positive and 2 negative electrons. Thus, it may be seen that the 80-odd physical elements of the universe differ from one another only in the number of electrons composing their atoms and the number and arrangement of those atoms in the molecules of each element. As an illustration, an atom of mercury contains 80 positive charges, protons in its nucleus, and 80 negative outlying charges, electrons. If the chemist were to expel 2 of its positive charges, it would instantly become the metal known as platinum. If the chemist then could go a step further and take from it a negative planetary electron, the mercury atom would then have lost 2 positive electrons and 1 negative. That is 1 positive charge on the whole, hence it would retain 79 positive charges on the nucleus and 79 outlying negative electrons, thereby becoming gold. The formula through which this electronic change might be produced has been the object of diligent search by alchemists through the ages, as well as chemists of today. It is a fact known to every chemist that countless synthetic substances may be composed out of only four kinds of atoms: hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon. The electron is the universal particle with which nature builds all material forms, from a grain of sand to the largest star that floats through space. The electron is nature's building block, out of which she erects an oak tree or a pine, a rock of sandstone or granite, a mouse or an elephant. Some of the ablest thinkers have reasoned that the earth on which we live and every material particle of the earth began with two atoms that attached themselves to each other and through hundreds of millions of years of flight through space kept contracting and accumulating other atoms until step by step the earth was formed. This, they point out, would account for the various and differing strata of the earth's substances, such as the coal beds, the iron ore deposits, the gold and silver deposits, and the copper deposits. They reason that as the earth whirled through space, it contracted groups of various kinds of nebulae, which it promptly, nebulae, which it promptly appropriated through the law of magnetic attraction. There is much to be seen in the Earth's surface composition to support this theory, although there may be no positive evidence of its soundness. We have referred to these facts concerning the smallest analyzable particles of matter because it is a starting point from which we shall undertake to ascertain how to develop and apply the laws of power. It has been noticed that all matter is in a constant state of vibration or motion, that the molecule is made up of rapidly moving particles called atoms, which in turn are made up of rapidly moving particles called electrons. That's awesome. We're going to go into vibration and extra in the next part, but ultimately, sometimes I would look over because I'd be having a thought that I hope you're grasping some sort of vibration to that'll help you move forward. You've got this. That's a UFO behind me. Sorry, right there. I'll tell you more about that why. It's a water tower, but it's actually called a UFO. It's kind of like in Men in Black, you know, those towers that like look like UFOs and then they turned into UFOs. It's kind of funny. My grandma lives right across from it. But yeah, it's a water tower. And I just wanted to point out this last thing. If you would like to move forward with an idea, giving back is important. So if you've had an idea, comment, share it, write it down, because you should move forward with it. Because success leaves clues is the thing that comes to mind, which basically means, things come in patterns. Or if you're looking for something, you'll receive some sort of hint along your path. And if you take it, you might find another one. I trust you will find these next parts better and better. And I wish you all the best. It might be up to 30 parts this takes. But I wish you the best. And if you want to join us in this community that will help you create your ideal day and help you just strive towards your goals quicker, because ultimately it's just we help you to guide yourself to better, more physical and more mental, quicker ideas for your foundation. What's going to be your foundation? We're building your foundation. That's what my ideal day is. It's my foundation. And just by communicating, we'll get there quicker. I wish you the best. Looking forward to dialoguing through comments. Come on, like this and subscribe and keep on, listening. Because it's not just about reading this book. It's about being in that vibration point. You might not believe everything in this book, but it'll get you to vibrations of what Napoleon Hill set, which was always to get people to achieve their goals successfully quicker and quicker. I appreciate you so much, and I know you're going to have the best day if you keep moving with that pattern of goodness. Peace.